we are so grateful to you. You who are the father and mother to us all. And that makes us your children. It makes us family. We come on this day asking, God, I ask you speak through these lips of clay. Speak so that your sermon will be delivered. Speak so that your message will be received. Speak, Lord, for your children. We, your children, are listening, so that the words of my mouth and the collective meditations of our hearts, may they be acceptable in your sight. For God, you and you alone are our rock, fortress, and redeemer. Amen. The gospel reading read to you from the Luke chapter 9. And it's in your program if you have one. It's along the sidebar. When you get a chance, just look over it again. And I'm just going to lift up the last part of this, which says, Then Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. Today salvation has come to this house. I'm going to be honest with you. I had trouble with this text, with the main character, I guess you would call him, of the text, a man by the name of Zacchaeus. I struggled with wanting to just punch him in his face. Sorry about that. Such of a victimizer and oppressing his own people. And then I struggled, just wanted to put my arm around him and say, you know, I get it. I know what happened when Jesus looked up at you in that moment. I know what happened. And I can identify with your situation as if I own it for myself. Because we know people in our communities, well, I know people in the community I'm from and communities I came from, who take advantage and exploit the community for their own gains, with no thought about the extent of their damage, just trying to build their own coffers for their own self. It's about me, my puddle, my pond, my pool. It's all about me and mine. And I know folks like that. But I also know, and if we're honest enough to look into our own hearts, we can also see how we ignore the plight of others. We don't pay all that much attention to the clothing or the phones, the cell phones we have, or the food. We don't think about how these things are made and manufactured and produced. When I want strawberries, it better be at the store. You know, I don't want to hear a story about, oh, we couldn't get it because, you know, America's mad at this country, so we're not buying from there. I don't want to hear that. I just want it. I don't give a thought about whether the people who are making those things are employed, that they are making a minimum wage, a living wage, a sweatshop wage, or no wage at all. I just want the clothes I want to wear. I want the items I want to buy. And if we really look at ourselves, we'll see we don't pay attention to those things. Just recently, this past weekend, I was up in Binghamton, and Reverend Sherry Crone, you may know her she comes out of Judson, and we were up at a training together, and when we got back, she called a Lyft driver. So we're standing in front of the house in Elmont. We had it with my brothers. We're standing in front of the house, and the Lyft driver is not coming to the house. He's down at the corner, way down at the corner. And I'm getting angrier and angrier because this guy is not coming up the block. You put the address in, come on to the address. And I'm getting angrier and angrier that this guy is not coming. So finally, I said, Reverend Sherry, we're just going to walk down. And so there she pulls a suitcase and the thing she has in her arm. And each step I take, I'm getting angrier and angrier. And I'm thinking about all the things I'm going to say to this guy when I get in front of his face. And I'm walking and getting angrier and angrier. And she says, you know, it's funny. Technology not even conceived of 6 years ago. We now expect it to act perfectly. You know, that hit me. You know, and it convicted me. You know, and I started, you know, this is stuff we couldn't even do just 6 years ago. And now we're expected to work on a dime. And then when we got to the driver, he couldn't even speak English. And that pulled me down some more. I just went down a little more. And I just said, you know, God, forgive me. Forgive me for being that kind of person. As I read Zacchaeus, I understood. Because I realized nobody wants to be Zacchaeus. Nobody wants to be like Zacchaeus. Nobody wants to identify with Zacchaeus. Even if you look at the very brief bio of him that the gospel writes about him, you would say, that's somebody I just wouldn't want to be. I could identify with anybody else. I know I want to identify with Jesus, but I can identify with everybody else. I just don't want to identify with Zacchaeus. Maybe the Zacchaeus at the end of the story who wants to make reparations. Maybe I can identify with that one, but I don't want to be the one that he is at the beginning. Even the people who were grumbling about Zacchaeus, complaining and passing judgment, saying, look at Jesus, there he is, hanging around and eating with wretched, repulsive, disgusting sinners once again. Isn't that just like Jesus? We would rather identify with those grumbling, complaining judges than we would want to identify with Zacchaeus. Nobody in their culturally conditioned, society-scornful, shaming-based mindset would want to be like that person called Zacchaeus. His name means righteous, but he was anything but that in the eyes of his people. You know, he was not even considered to be a child of Abraham, even though he was. And for Jews, that physical connection to the father Abraham through his son Isaac was a guarantee of God's favor. So for them, Zacchaeus wasn't in favor with God. He ain't have no favor from God. He's a person tailor-made to be hated. Listen to the bullet point, but very descriptive bio of Zacchaeus as presented by Luke, the gospel writer. Chief tax collector, rich. Oh, and there was another very important bullet point. He was short. Who should I look at? I guess I should look in the mirror. That's what I got that. Okay, tax collectors. They sucked the financial lifeblood out of the hard-working people in society. Vulnerable widows, the elderly, struggling families, and the working poor. Luke notes that Zacchaeus wasn't just an ordinary tax collector. He was the chief tax collector. That's the real money maker. That's the one who had tax collectors working under him to go. And he's the one who contracted with the Roman Empire in order to collect local taxes. Zacchaeus is the one who gained his status and wealth through extortion and embezzlement. In other words, he ransacked homes of plain old round-the-way folks and took their stuff, taxed their stuff, and if they couldn't pay, just took it. Brought it to his coffers, skimmed as much as he could off the top for his own self. He took all the wealth that he was able to get after he could skim off his own stuff, and then he gave that, transferred it over to the Roman Empire. Can you imagine that? Taken from the poor and pouring all that wealth that you garner from the masses and give it to the enemy. He worked against his own people. He worked for the enemy of his people, the Roman Empire, the same empire that marginalized Jewish populations through excessive taxation and kept the Jewish masses in perpetual poverty. You may not remember that song, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day old and deeper in debt. The more you work, the more you owed. That was the kind of situation Zacchaeus kept his own people in. The more goods he could tax, the richer he became. And he was rich, yes, rich. And yet with all of his wealth, something was missing. Zacchaeus knew he needed a new life, a new being, a higher perception, a broader communion, a greater love, a bigger faith, a deeper hope, a bigger existence. Zacchaeus needed an alternative destiny from the one he was on. And he heard that Jesus was going to be passing through. Wow, that's good news right there for somebody. Good news for you, Chelsea, Reverend Chelsea. Good news for you, Brother Robbie. Good news for you, Dr. Phyllis. It is good news for you, Brother Bill. It is good news for all of you who are on the front line for change in this society, Jesus is passing through. And whenever Jesus just passes through somewhere, whenever there's a chance for an encounter with Jesus, whenever Jesus is in the midst, we can expect miracles. I don't want you to get discouraged because miracles are on the way. We can expect Jesus to pass through and have an exponentially powerful impact on our lives and the works of our hands. Zacchaeus was looking to see Jesus. Implied from the Greek rendering is that he was someone who was seeking, someone who was inquiring, someone who was searching. Implied from the Greek rendering is that his efforts to accomplish what he sought out to do didn't come easy. See, that's why you're working, and you think nothing is happening, but just keep on pushing. Just keep on pushing, because Jesus is soon to pass through. He kept on trying to see Jesus, and he made a continuous effort to seek out Jesus for a good while, but it was to no avail. He kept failing. And the reason why he was so unsuccessful was because the crowd was too dense for him to penetrate, and he could not see over the crowd because he was too short. He was too short in stature. He was too short in esteem. He was too short in reputation. He was too short in character. He was too short in integrity. And like a little child, because that's the only way we ought to be coming to Jesus anyway, that for the kingdom of heaven is such as thee. Like a little child, he ran up a tree, up a sycamore tree. Can you imagine a man of his stature? Well, imagine President Obama climbing up the tree, all in his presidential outfit. I don't know if 45 may look better doing it. I don't know. Climbed up the sycamore tree, seeking to sneak a peek at Jesus. He climbed that tree. I can hear him chanting as he's climbing. I know I'm not right. I know I'm not wanted. I know I'm not respected. I know I'm not expected, but I'm going to keep climbing anyhow. I hear there's a man who's passing through, who is pouring hope in hopeless times. They tell me there's a man who's going to be passing through, who talks about who God is and what God will do, and I want to see that man. Here, there's a healer by the name of Jesus who is passing through my neighborhood, and I know I need healing. That's the word of salvation, Greek soteria. I know I need healing. I need what he got. I need to be in his presence. I need to be where truth is being proclaimed, where justice is being taught, and where hope is being affirmed. I need to see Jesus. Dude, you need to see Jesus this morning. Because the good news is no matter how low the valley, he's lower still. No matter how deep the pit, he's deeper still. And no matter how high you climb, he's higher still. And so he went as high as he could go to the tree he could climb up. And if you're seeking to find Jesus, if you just want to see his face, just watch when he passes through. Something is going to happen. He did it for Zacchaeus. And I know Zacchaeus. And I know when he looked at Zacchaeus, he was like, I know you've gotten rich off the back of others. I know your home is replete with luxurious furnishing from the wealth you gained by extorting others. But today, Jesus says, I'm coming to your house. I used to think as a young kid and a young lady growing up in ministry that it was a nice invite that Jesus was imposing himself on. I don't go up to anybody and say, I'm coming to your house. I did it to Deacon Judy when she was having her birthday. I said, oh, you have a party for this group, a party for that group. I'm coming to every group. I belong in each other. I'm your neighbor, I'm your church person, I'm your friend. I'm coming to everybody. I mean, like, Jesus is just being Zacchaeus. I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to the place where you have all of the wealth from the backs of your people furnishing your home. I'm coming to your house. Now this is a very crucial, critical moment. Because when Jesus looked at Zacchaeus' heart, Zacchaeus felt convicted because immediately before Jesus could say anything else, Zacchaeus quickly tells him, I will give half of what I have to the poor, and to those I have defrauded, I will make not the legally required 1/5, but I want to add add to my reparation. I'm going to give 4 times as much as what I've extorted and embezzled and defrauded from other people. That's what whatever happened in his heart, I know because Jesus sees us. Jesus knows how short we are. Jesus knows our shortcomings. It doesn't matter how many degrees we hold. It doesn't matter what positions we hold. It doesn't matter how folks are applauding and accolating us for all the stuff that Jesus looks at our hearts and says, I'm coming to your house. And when he convicts us, there's nothing for us to do but to say, I am sorry. And I'm not just going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to atone for everything I took, for everything I've done. I'm going to go above and beyond what is required for me. And Jesus looked at Zacchaeus and said, today, soteria, salvation, today, healing has come to the house. Now, this encounter between Jesus and Zacchaeus demonstrates for us how the gospel of Jesus points straight to the individual, but is also directed effectively at human society and community. And I'm telling you, if we are unwilling to confront the ills and evils that lie within us from both the personal side and from the society level, whether it's in education, whether it's family, whether it's the government, whether it's a church or whatever house of worship it may be, if we are unwilling to tackle the inner and the outer, transformation is not going to take place. You guys can come and speak to us until, as Stevie Wonder saying, the rainbows burn the stars out in the sky. You can do it as long as you want. But if we are not willing to change personally and institutionally, change will not take place. Salvation comes when we know it's time to stop compensating for our blind complicity in systems of consumerism that rob so many people of their dignity and worth. Salvation comes when we are free from a cultural mindset that values wealth over humans. That's the gospel of Jesus. The gospel of Jesus is the salvation of souls. It's the redemption of time. It's the transfiguration of politics. And it's the transformation of economics. When Jesus comes to announce the good news that the kingdom of God is here, he's proclaiming a gospel that is both social and individual, a gospel that's personal and community, a gospel that's spiritual and practical, a gospel that's spiritual salvation and economic development, a gospel that's organization and organism, a gospel that's good news and the government, a gospel that's kindness and the kingdom today. Salvation has come to this house, to your house. And when it comes to Zacchaeus, it liberates his whole community. That's the gospel we're looking at today. That's the gospel we trust in. That's the Jesus we follow. Thanks be to God. By your gracious God, as we are about to embark upon a communal act of Holy Communion, partaking of it together, as we live out the life, the ministry, the death and resurrection of this one named Jesus, who came to break down barriers and set captives free and open blinded eyes. Teach us, oh God, that we are one. We are one. And if the planet dies, we die. If reparations aren't given to those of African descent whose ancestors endured slavery in this country, then the country is not free. If we don't care about families being ripped apart at borders, ripping them from their homes and deporting them back, if we don't care about divisive tactics that keeps us all upended and at bay, then we are all souls most miserable. So God, touch us even in this moment, even in communion, even in our holy conversation, so that we may truly become people who are part of the beloved community, who pray that you will have your will done here on earth